How's it going, everybody? So, after a little bit of a diversion, kind of talking about some game design stuff that was definitely controversial, I do want to real quick, some minor housekeeping before I dive into this. Everything in the last two videos is partially, opinion based. I can't, if you disagree with me, that's fine. Everybody's welcome to their own opinions, and yeah, I think it's interesting. I really enjoyed the discussion that it sparked in the video. It's funny because the metrics on it are really good, but the like dislike ratio, I could definitely see some people do not agree with me. Which, sure. The other little minor bit of housekeeping, I am right now 5 YouTube subscribers away from 1,000. So if you guys would hit that, I will try to get a 1,000 subscriber special, probably a YouTube only live stream where I'll do some deck building. I'll try to schedule some games with some friends so I can kind of walk through piloting decks. I'll do some live deck stage. I know it's been a little while. I'm still not sure if deck stage is going to continue. It's a lot of work to kind of keep up with that because you guys send in so many decks. To be quite honest, um, I also have some ideas for like here are like backups and the why play backups, what backups are good, because that's like the most common thing that I see in deck stage, that like really 90% of the decks I can stop by fixing the backups and get the mana base in the decks much more consistent, and I think the deck would just perform better. But with all that out of the way, again, thanks everybody for all the follows and subscribes, and let's dive into the Materia Cup Gold Coast. So this is the first Australian Materia Cup of the new competitive season. It had 39 entrants, which is relatively low for a Materia Cup if you're used to other regions, but Australia is a smaller region, but given that I'm going to be probably playing out of Australia for the foreseeable future after Orlando, I figured it would be kind of nice to kind of get people caught up on Australia. And I've said in the past, like, different regions have their own metas. The US, I think, is kind of the king of, like, I would call it mid-range aggro. And then Europe is like a bunch of mono wind pilots. Like, they're very good at like combo mid-range. Japan plays either the most disgusting aggro decks possible or the most disgusting control decks possible with almost no in between. Australia is the wild frickin' West. They will play whatever. I have seen everything from Neo X Death Turbo to 5CP Golbez Turbo top in the past. Decks that just have not seen results elsewhere in the world. This could partially be due to the lower player base entry, but it also just is that, like, when the meta is that diverse, random things will end up topping. And we have something that has been elusive the entire time, which is we have our first ever Knights win. That is right. Knights have finally won a Materia Cup, and this is, for all intents and purposes, this is just the list from Japan. I think that we have one copy of Merylwib. And what's the swap out for the Merylwib? Cyan. We swapped one Cyan for one Merylwib and called it a day. Just, boop, 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 clean swap. And I think it's really interesting. Again, this deck is very, very, very fast. And if you're not prepared for it, I do wonder, how much Top Cut plays into knowing, because like there are hands that you can keep knowing your opponent's on knights that you will keep against no other deck in the format, which tends to play against it some. But in this situation, it finally came out on top. And yeah, no, I mean, this is just straight up the Japanese list that was undefeated in Swiss. Very, very, very aggro. Spin the dice, get the Corella, the Ramza, and just win. Nothing really all that spicy there, but it is interesting that it does finally have a Materia Cup win. Our second place, we have an Earth Water control list, and this is a wild one. So first of all, this is Lena 18L in a deck that is not mono water. So I've experimented with this some in the past where you can kind of just run enough. Every card in the deck is multi-element or earth when needed. And in those situations, then, I mean, this deck is running 5 non-water cards, which is about the same ratio that I used to do with the mono water twins, I would call it, where it was 3 Palams and 3 Amaterasu, or my 6 fire cards. This is a really similar ratio, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that like it's probably under experimented with to have Lena revive Une, given how good water summons can be. This gives us access to Sophie and Garnet. I'm a little surprised to not. I mean, I guess I'm not that surprised. The only way to play the Sophie is if we have the Shantoto on the field. I'm actually very impressed. I guess we have the Princess Sarah as well. So probably the Princess Sarah is going to be declared as Earth in this list. I don't really think you can do the mono water twins thing of only relying on Shantoto as our only Earth CP. But yeah, 2 copies of Lena, 2 copies of Leviathan. Those are standard ratios. We have the 3 Une, the 3 Ash, the 2 Garnet, the 2 Lenas. We have 17 full summons. I'm a little surprised to not see, when you have only 13 forwards, like 1 copy of Siren, like maybe over like one of the Piranhas or something, just to like give your entire like sticking Siren Une is so difficult for some decks to deal with, and like Piranha's fine. Like I said, it kind of functions as like a bad Kadaj, but it's also very hard for this card to get in for damage, and in those situations, Siren can just protect your Une and your Leviathan and kind of just win you the game on the spot by sticking. So I'm a little surprised to see. I mean, this is a lot of times I've seen Piranha now in topping deck lists, which is really interesting because, again, this isn't like, it's not a bad card in this cycle. I think the cycle is just generally a decent power level and kind of slept on. But it's not an incredible card. It's not one that I would have expected to be in a lot of these water or mono water style lists and topping consistently. The 3 Blue Worm, the Tros, the Echidna, that all makes sense. 3 5 CP Hekkas. Now, interestingly, that does actually miss a lot of our forwards, since so many of ours are 9Ks, the Ash, the Une, the Leviathans, and all of our monsters. So Hekka might actually just be kind of a one-sided board wipe. Almost surprised this isn't just like a Shinryu, because then you could like run Larsa to search either Shinryu or Ash or Une, depending on like where you are in the game state. But I don't dislike Hekaton here against some decks. I think it's probably one of the most efficient clears against Wall 7 lists that aren't developing backups as they go. Because you leave the Wall 7 on the field, and sure, you're going to take damage from that, but you don't care that much. And you do clear every single forward that those decks play, unless they're running like Prish or White Tiger OC Nimbus. The full 3 Levi Tarasu, this is starting to become more and more standard. No Mist Dragon is also kind of surprising, but I guess it makes sense. We're really trying to focus on the water. And I guess we're really valuing the repeated backup breaking. I would probably find room for the Mist Dragon over the Hekka. I think between the Leviathan and the Une, we have enough ways of disrupting our opponent's backups. But I don't hate this, and there are like uses for this, like popping, say, a Sarah FFL, that can be absolutely devastating. Action ability cancel Leviathan is also a bit surprising, given. I mean, I guess like you can cancel a Refia, but like I feel like you're trading down so much when you try to stop a Refia with the action ability cancel Levy. So I'm trying to think like what other action abilities we're really aiming for. You can cancel Ramza, but like that doesn't seem amazing. It does just have good utility. It is just Opus 1 Leviathan without the EX burst if you don't need to cancel an action ability. So maybe it's just there as like, well, we want to be able to bounce forwards as removal, but also maybe protecting our Une for one more turn can win us the game. Lastly, the 3 Kakowans, it's all standard. Yagrosh, I really wonder if Yagrosh should just be like, I'm in water, I should play a copy of Yagrosh. Like, maybe even like Refia Controllus or 4-color good stuff might need to start considering like the one of Yagrosh as a method by which to prevent Gilgamesh BE and all of those cards from just ending the game by existing. 2 copies of Yuna, the Waka, 3 Sarahs, the Hilda. So we're on the Sarah, the Princess engine. This is falling out a little bit over time. I get why it's here, because it does color fix the Sarah. Hilda's really good. A little surprised to see no Gordon, but I guess we really need the Princess Sarah. So we have access to the earth. Gordon usually is a mono water thing to try to dig for better cards. Hilda does up the EX count. We're up to 15. Makes sense. And the 3 copies of Thornton. It's kind of funny. This card really is just kind of coming back. The card quality is so strong right now that paying 5 to go search whatever you want really doesn't feel that bad when it kind of can result in just ending the game. Not to mention that EX burst is just completely insane. All right, we have Water Earth with Cat8. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. So I need to kind of analyze this. So we do have, it is another 4-color deck. As I was saying, right now, if you're in 2 colors, you can usually color fix the last 2 colors to get Warrior of Light. But we also have Cecil in multiple ways. And Cecil, Warrior of Light, is a very strong defensive play against aggro. Like, you think of something like, 13 or like those Ice aggro lists, and they just cannot pay the repeated Cecil tax. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of ways to reactivate our Warrior of Light because we need to run the forward Rosa, or the one cost Rosa. Interesting to see Rydia showing up here. This is a card I thought would really struggle. We're only on. No, we're on her at 3. Only the 2 Amaterasu as well. Maybe we're just okay with baiting Cloud and saying, well, you can't Cloud the Rosa and the Rydia and the Porum. But I feel like this is just going to be such a Cloud magnet, and it's such an omnipresence in the metagame right now that it's definitely a bit surprising. Garnet, Warrior of Light, Cecil in multiple forms. I do like having 1 copy of this Cecil for Top Cut, just because you can't oh, I guess if you have Cecil Rydia, you can tag into this to protect from Cloud on Rydia. That's actually really interesting. Hadn't considered that. 1 copy of Fusoya. We're on a 4 or 5 color deck anyway. 1 copy of Une. Zodiac is a surprising one, actually. We don't have any Dark Forwards to reduce the cost. I guess we have the Leela. But we also don't have... I usually like seeing this with something that prevents the next point of damage you would take. So this is like Ethical Zodiac. There is no only on your turn, which is really cool for Rydia, but like, can we afford to pay this very often? I feel like you just kind of can't with the amount of damage you take back. I'm very interested how this actually went. I feel like you could run, like if you want an instant speed board wipe summon, you could run like Fat Chocobo as an option, which then would give you like another win to discard for the King Tycoon. Remora, Leviathan, these are just incredible Rydia summons. That makes a lot of sense. Fenrir without a target to play from the break zone can be a little bit iffy, but there are a lot of targets for all of these effects right now. Breaking Light Forwards is really big. Breaking backups of 4 or more hits the Sarah Mobius. Or not Sarah Mobius, the Sarah FFLs. Anytime you can pop a Tomos or Tros, you feel pretty good. Just the 2 Amaterasu, the 3 Mist Dragon. I mean, Amaterasu we can't hard cast very easily, so I get that. Mist Dragon makes sense. The 1 Kusith and the 1 Kukulkan. We're kind of toolboxing a little bit more. That's kind of scary. And then backups. 21 EX burst. That is actually really nice. We're on the full King engine. The 3 Claris, the 2 King Tycoon, the 3 Lena. 1 copy of Edgar, 1 Ico to go get Aridia. Matoya, 1 Thornton, 3 Tyro. No Shantoto, notably. But you do have the ability to go Thornton, Claris, King Tycoon, Lena, or like get the Edgar. So it makes a lot of sense. This list seems... I'd be a little worried about consistency, given that like we do want to get the Edgar and King Tycoon, and we just don't have a lot of cards to play them with. So, like, we're really Tyro reliant, I feel like. And then LB's, nothing too surprising. I mean, I would say, like, not having 2 Leos surprising. I don't know that we were with 26 Earth cards. I would feel comfortable really worrying about Shantoto, but... Mono Mill Lightning. So this is, yeah, just mono lightning, Scion 8. This is one of the first decks that I tried when the disciplinary committee members in Irvine or in Cypher were revealed. Turns out that like getting Ishtolas into the break zone is just good. It's just good. A little surprised to not see the Alfie nodes at all. Like we're not even like on Louis Wall or Alfie node in our backups. Especially like we're on the President Shinra, which is like an EX burst, but like also we should be splitting Rude Reno, I feel like, regardless. Um, Odins are really good. We don't have a lot of ways of getting them back other than Lightning. I also feel like one copy of Ixion goes a long way with Lightning as well. It does like hurt us a little bit, but not that bad. Axis is an incredible card. Ishtola, Graha. Like we're playing a lot of good cards. We're playing them all at 3, which usually I feel really good about. And I actually really like the combination of Ultimecia and Axis, by the way. I think this is a really slept-on duo because Axis kind of fuels the Ultimecia a lot, while also giving you the ability to recover an Ultimecia at a point in which she's actually a live play. I think it's a really slept-on combination. The Gestals. This Nath is actually really cool because if in the top 2 cards you see a Fujin or a Raijin, you kind of get to like draw one, play Fujin or Raijin because you also just get to mill them, which is really cool. And you have the ability to do that twice. This card can kind of just pay for itself very quickly. I've actually always kind of liked the concept of these backups. I just haven't seen a lot of play until now. No Weavers is also a little surprising for the Graha. I guess we do have the Nath powers it up, so that is actually an interesting adaptation there. 2 Siddiquangoli, the 3 Reeves. We're kind of trying to dig. I would worry a little bit about name diversity in our backups. Like I said, I'd be on the one copy of Rude. So like if you draw the Reno and first, and then you draw the President Shinra, you're kind of like drawing dead there. If you split 1/1, that's like an extra name. And we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total backup names. We could easily get that up to like 9, 10. So just kind of something to note there. I was trying to figure out why we're on Leo, and then I realized it's because you literally can't cast 3 clouds or 3 lightnings, so it doesn't matter. This could be literally any of them. They should have made it Yuri so Yuri could actually have a top for the first time in his life. But yeah, you can't play the Leo. It's just the first card you flip. But because Lightning and Cloud are both LB2s, you never need more than 2 of either of them. So, makes sense. Jacob Matthews. This is effectively, yeah, this is the KP list. The 2 Dianas, the Lena. Gilgamesh is new, I believe. I don't think that's standard in this list. We just cut the Fujin for it. I could see that. It's more damage pressure. Pairs very well. You can get it back with the Cypher when it's good. It does suck to lose a Warrior of Light, which is kind of what you need to do to make it actually like really pop off. The 3 Arya, the 3 Seraph of L. I think everything else in this is basically standard. But actually, I like the tech card here. I think that like in a situation where you're expecting your opponent to continuously target your Warrior of Lights, using them for any kind of value and then getting a double attacker. And this deck pushes forwards out of the way very easily with cards like Surges or Zeromus or Gilgamesh. That there's a pretty decent chance you can get the double attack off if you ever somehow get to damage 3. So I like the tech actually. I think it's a good adaptation if you just don't like what Fujin provides. All right, Earth Water Control. Oh, this looks a lot like the Steve D list. I'm not gonna lie. We have the full 3/3 Chaos Arc. Amaterasu in this list is very bold. I mean, it's really cool. You can Une it back. You do have the Rydia or the Tyro and the Shantoto. We're on 21 EX burst. That's really nice. Echidna. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Again, we're on a very, very low forward count to enable the Siren, but we have the limit break forwards to help supplement that a bit. I really like a lot of this. I would worry a bit about deck out because between Siren and Moogle, we are going to be decking ourselves very aggressively if we're continuously being chosen. But we do have, I guess, we have the very high EX burst count, and yeah, we're of the mindset that we want to be able to get these chaoses and arcs out of our hand, and we don't want them. The Amaterasu is very bold. I would love to hear how that actually performed on the weekend. Because like if you do get ahead, and like this would be very good into like a Refia control matchup where they have to kill the Une and they kind of can't because you can continuously Amaterasu the Refia. But I don't know how good that's going to be overall. So I'd be very curious to hear how this went. Richie playing a self-mill Cat8 deck makes total sense. Well, sort of. This is not a self-mill Cat8 deck because we're splitting our ciphers even. We're very deep. So this is more in line with the self-damage stuff a little bit. Kind of not too. So we have Fujin and Raijin backups. These are actually really interesting because you can kind of just like build your own buffs to Cypher and make him a haste first strike 7k, which is cool. We do have a lot of different characters that are all Cat 8 because we have the Fujins, the Raijins, the Selfie, the Sid Kramer. We're not on Eden. We're playing Light Squall instead. That's fine. I don't know how much I love that. Like I feel like if we're on this high of a character count, I wonder if it's better to just do that. 3 Amaterasu. I like to call this the catch-all Bahamut. Like this just kind of deals with a lot of problems that could exist otherwise if you don't have it. The full 3 Ixion. No way to search it. I do have the lightning to get it back. And yeah, it's like a wind, fire, lightning Cat 8 deck. This is on Selfie Squall, which I actually like. I think this combination is really powerful. But we're also only on the one Selfie, which is what's surprising. No Quistis either. I guess we can't really play the Quistis very easily, so I sort of get that. Very, very interesting. Yeah, it's like wind, fire, lightning. With a very light wind thing. So we're playing like Cloud, Zidane, so we can get our Fujin and our Bartz into play. Very surprising to see this Bartz actually now that I think about it. I don't think I've seen this guy really show up in a lot of lists. And actually, fun fact, this is the best Bartz EX if you ever wanted to run an EX burst off of a Bartz in a Bartz Refia list. The problem is the job sucks. You can't do the reveal and take this because it's a job wanderer, not job warrior of light. So fun fact, if you ever wondered why this Bartz isn't played in the Bartz Turbo list, that's why. Really interesting. 1 copy of Warrior of Light. We can't cast that, so that's got to be just there for the Gilgamesh. That seems a little aggressive for my taste. It does kind of help color fix the fire and the wind, and again, fire wind is such a bad. Like the multi elements in that combination are so bad. Like Cherokee is not a card. Like the next best one, like Vaughn, I guess has like an EX burst that could come up, and like you could hypothetically cast it as like a free cast, but. Yeah, I mean, I sort of get this. Like, if you want to like enable the 1 copy of Gilgamesh, it's not the worst decision. I just kind of feel like there's probably something better to do with this slot. Even if you do want to run the Gilgamesh, I think 3 to 4 elements is more than enough to like make it fine. And one left. This is another Gigawall list. This is the more traditional warrior build. Real quick. We're playing the full 3 Sid Randell, which is interesting. So we're not on mute to search it at all. But we also don't have a lot of outs to Sid Randell, which is, again, kind of the strange space. Like, clearly we're acknowledging Sid Randell is a thing we need to worry about. But we also, like, our only ways of dealing with it are Ferris, Axstar, and Cyan. I guess, like, nope, we can't Irvine special. That's actually not an out. And that's it. And I don't feel like that's enough. Like I feel like the 1 copy of Bahamut in the summons would go a long way. Like you're acknowledging this card exists and is a problem for other Giga Wall decks, and you're not playing it out to yourself, which just I feel like that's just risky. Like I said, I guess like I said, Cyan, when you've already generated 2 crystals, does it as well. But yeah, I mean that's always been my issue with the warrior build, the fire, water lightning, as opposed to playing like I really like the Raffia builds where you try to be able to use the Raffia spin even in that. But like Tyvis is very strong. I don't think anybody will ever deny that. And being able to use Tyvis, I really like getting Gigawall lists to 3 backups because then like all of your stuff, like you can play 1 card for free every single turn. And Tyvis off 3 backups is kind of like you draw 2 for turn, you pitch one of the draws, you tap your 3 backups, you play the Tyvis, and the Tyvis cascades into the best other forward still in your deck. Whether that's Mog to like lock them out of the game, or Ward for some removal, or just Axstar to just continuously generate value, Yuzuki for board protection. So I do understand why Tyvis sees play in these lists. I just, like I said, just the one Bahamut, just right there. And I feel a lot better about what this list provides. And that is Materia Cup Gold Coast in review. Really, really interesting sets of lists. Honestly, a really varied list. I mean, we had the 2 Gigawalls. No Refia is absolutely shocking to me. Like, it's not like we didn't have like hard control because Earth Water did very, very well. You know, we had the Chaos Arc here, and then also like the Mono Water with like the Dash of Earth here. So like hard control was present and was doing things. You know, we had a bit of mid range with the 8 Lightning. So yeah, it's a really interesting metagame's in a very interesting spot right now. Very curious to see what ends up. I think the next Materia Cup is Orlando, which I will be at. Fingers crossed that goes well for me. And the next deck list review is hopefully this slot will be my own. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one, hopefully soon.